When the original Yooka-Laylee hit consoles 8 years ago, I'll confess to not being much of a fan. I appreciated it as a spiritual successor to classic Nintendo 64 games like Banjo-Kazooie, but was ultimately put off by the barren level designs, the repetitive challenges, and the outdated gameplay. I found the hours upon hours of collecting more than 1,000 items to get boring after a while, and ended up only recommending the game to diehard fans of the Banjo-Kazooie series. Now comes Yooka-Replaylee, a vastly improved remake of the 2017 game with better graphics, updated gameplay, a faster pace, and hundreds of more items to collect. In so many ways, it's the game that Playtonic should have released all those years ago. Come and see how my opinion has changed when I review Yooka-Replaylee. The graphics and gameplay may have improved, but the setup is largely the same. Yooka the Chameleon and his bat buddy Laylee are a couple of adventurers who crash into a tropical island and rescue the One Book, a magical tome that allows anybody to rewrite the world. When the evil capital B realizes that the One Book is missing, he hatches a plan to suck all the world's books into the Ivory Tower. But as it turns out, the magical book puts up a fight, resulting in the pages literally getting ripped out and scattered throughout 5 large stages. It's up to our thrill-seeking heroes to gather up all the pagies and thwart Capital B's nefarious plans once and for all. Now, if you played the original Yooka-Laylee back in 2017, then you already know that this is a loving tribute to the Banjo-Kazooie series. Yeah, it's a chameleon and bat instead of a bear and a bird, but the end result is still the same. This is primarily a 3D platformer that revolves around running, jumping, and spinning around large open stages while collecting items. And it's not just the pagies either, but also feathers, coins, ghosts, science stuff, tokens, and more. Once you've collected enough stuff and defeated the cartoony boss, it's off to the next stage to do the whole thing all over again. While the basic structure is the same, this is more than just a simple remaster. Yooka-Replaylee is a complete refresh of the original game, fixing a lot of the elements that didn't work and adding a staggering amount of new content. Right from the start, Yooka is given a bunch of new moves and abilities, like being able to jump on enemies like Mario and other platforming stars. The existing moves have also been tweaked, making the gameplay a lot more intuitive than it was the first time around. For example, if you wanted to turn invisible and sneak past security cameras in Yooka-Laylee, then you had to hold down the crouch button and then press the jump button to activate his camo cloak. Now all you need to do is crouch for a couple of seconds and our hero will automatically cloak. They really did a good job of streamlining the gameplay. Another thing they did was they doubled the amount of pagies we can collect, going from 145 all the way up to 300. As you can imagine, this adds a lot of new challenges and puzzles to solve. There really is something new to find and collect around every corner, and the stages are now bursting with fun tasks to complete and cool characters to interact with. You'll still see a lot of the new challenges repeated throughout the different levels, but there's so much variety here that you're hardly going to notice or care. Oddly enough, doubling the amount of pagies also goes a long way to improve the pacing. It used to be that you'd have to grind and really work to collect enough pagies to open up the next level. Now, with so many pagies to collect, it's surprisingly easy to progress through the game. In fact, after I was done having fun with the first stage, I had not only collected enough items to open up the second stage, but also the third. This makes beating the game a lot easier, sure, but it also makes the work of getting there feel a lot less like a chore. You can really focus on the kinds of challenges that you want to complete, instead of feeling like you have to get everything just to see how the story wraps up. This is a big improvement. Now, there are a few other quality of life changes that make this version of the game so much better, including a detailed map, a pagey checklist, and the ability to warp around. There are also a bunch of new tonics and ways to customize your character, as well as items and upgrades to buy, all with the feathers and the coins that you've collected. Best of all, they've completely refreshed Rextro's arcade games, giving us a series of mini-games that are a lot more cohesive and fun. Of course, the first thing that many people are going to notice is how much better this game looks. I remember Yooka-Laylee having a charming aesthetic, but seeing this game in 4K absolutely blew me away. The grass finally rustles as you run through it, and the snow transforms with every step. The game's filled with new smoke effects, and all the enemies and bosses really shine. Despite the original being nearly a decade old, Yooka-Re-Playlee looks like a modern game. I doubt anybody's going to have any issues with how this game looks. As somebody who wasn't that hot on Yooka-Laylee when it first came out, all of these updates, tweaks, and changes really turned me around. This is a vastly improved game that finally, at long last, fulfills its potential. These changes aren't superficial, but rather enhance the game in practically every way. Most of the complaints that I levied against the original release are no longer an issue, and the few that remain aren't that big of a deal. For example, one could certainly knock the fact that this is an even bigger collectathon than before. Yet, for whatever reason, that actually worked for me. Will I ever go through and collect absolutely everything? Probably not, but it's there if I want to. Collecting the pagies wasn't a chore this time around, and I really like how they give you things to do with the other items that you pick up. There's just a lot more variety this time around, which really helped to break up some of the repetition from the first release. That said, I'm still not a huge fan of the last two stages. This is definitely one of those games that starts off stronger than it ends, with the first three stages being a lot more fun and engaging than the final two. Part of the problem is that the swamp is ugly and uninteresting, while the final space-themed level is too spread out and hard to navigate. As with the 2017 release, it feels like the developers ran out of compelling stage designs after the casino, which ends up giving players almost too many minigames to play. It really is all downhill after you cash out of the casino. Look, as surprised as I am to say this, Yooka-Replaylee is one of the best video game re-releases I've ever played. It's a game that completely changed my opinion, turning me into a genuine fan of this series. Yooka-Laylee was a game that I could only recommend to die-hard fans of Banjo-Kazooie. Now, with Yooka-Replaylee, I can finally recommend this game to anybody who loves well-made 3D platformers. More than just another remaster, Yooka-Replaylee overhauls the original so much that it might as well be a brand new game. This charming 3D platformer improves on the graphics, animation, stage designs, gameplay, and everything else you could hope for. It doubles the amount of pagies to collect, offering a wide variety of fun activities and tasks to complete, all while improving the pacing and accessibility of the revamped story. Sure, the game still revolves around collecting items, and the last couple of stages aren't as strong as the first three, but it's hard to complain when everything else is so damn good. Even if you weren't a huge fan of the 2017 original, give Yooka-Replaylee a chance. I have a hunch that it's gonna win you over. Hey, thanks for watching my review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. Now, here's the question I have for you. What's the most improved remake remaster you've ever played? I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I'd put this up there with that Resident Evil remake on GameCube. Let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we're going to be back later this week with a brand new Review Crew episode and another review. While you wait for that, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.